All right, I finally got one of these to go off as intended. No hang fire or anything. I only loaded up one case and shot it through the Puma lever action rifle, and that one shot came out to 1,610.9 feet per second. So I went ahead and loaded up 5 more. I'm going to run down there and we'll mark the target, make sure we know where these are hitting. I'm going to see if I can't get a little group going. I think we're at 60 yards here. All right, just kind of coming over here, marking up holes. That I really don't want to mess up. I've got to analyze some data from the Grendel loads I put together. Nice little load, 90 grain Farmageddon. All right, let's give ourselves an iron sight aiming spot. We'll get some kind of a reference, maybe hold on the corner. Okay, so there's a round there. And nothing inside this circle. 24-inch circle. And this is probably a 5-inch square. So I went ahead and grabbed the rangefinder and ranged it just so we can have accurate data. We're at 65 yards. I'm hoping for consistent detonation because I've had a hell of a time. I was loading these up with H110 powder, and as some of you probably know, H110 is a great powder. You can get some great velocities with certain calibers, but tends to be temperamental with space in the case. The first shot again was at 1610. This is going to be 15.5 grains of Hodgdon long shot. I got a pretty good picture of the square. Let's get equal light, equal height. Okay, shot number 2 came out at 1658.5. Primer looks good. I don't see anything funny going on with the case so far. All right, let's see if one of these will feed from the magazine. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, rode right in there. All right. 1384.9. That's interesting. I wonder if it has something to do with, yeah, as a matter of fact, that's really interesting. Look at that. I think that because of the fact that we didn't crimp, look at that big scorching mark down the side. So for now, we're not talking about crimping. We're not talking about feeding. I just want to see a general area of where I can safely, pressure-wise, load these cases to. Let's see if this one's a little better. That one felt really good, but we're only at 1476. Fascinating. And another scorch mark. See, and then it jumps back up to 1642.6. Let's see what that looks like. No scorching. Primer's nice and rounded off. Very interesting. Take one more shot and then we'll go down there and look at the group. And number 6 up there at 1633.5. Looks pretty good. Okay. Not sure what happened with those 2 scorchers, but let's go through the load analysis here, or the shot analysis. So shot number 1, 1611. Shot number 2, 1659. Shot number 3, 1385. Shot number 4, 1476. Shot number 5, 1643. And shot number 6. The last shot was 1634. So all over the place with velocities. I'm inclined to think that that might have something to do with, you know, run out, inconsistent neck tension, not crimping. I might have tweaked the bullet on its way in. Aside from a couple of scorched on one side cases, all the primers look relatively good. I don't see anything super abnormal. But let's go take a look at the group and see what happens. I heard impacts, but I don't see any new ones. Sure do see a lot of disrupted dirt down here. We're only at 65 yards. The front sight blade basically was about the width of this from my vantage point. Have no impacts on the paper. I think that we were hitting down here. There we are. That is 100% one of those slugs. From point of aim, 1, 2, 3, 4 feet low. So I don't know if that's a sight issue or just, it shouldn't be too much of a velocity issue. But those rounds are definitely hitting low. All right, for anyone that was curious, these are the Hoosier bullets, 452.452. Started their life as, a lot of them were about 248.7 is what they weighed out to. After hitting soft dirt, looks like they're at 215.6. So again, not an exact science, but if anyone was curious. Okay, right now we're hand loading manually. One thing I want to do is, when I set this die up, I really just kind of got it to where the only thing I was really concerned about was the seating depth. And I'll see if I can't get this built-in crimp to engage at the right time. The one thing we did accomplish, though, is consistent ignition. Our trim length, case trim, is at 1.373 to 1.383. Yeah, we've got a lot of play, so we're not going to get super consistent. Of course, this isn't a precision rifle. 15.3, 15.4, and come on. There we go, 15.5. Here's our two cases that are correct trim length. 15.5 long shot going in. 1.759. I feel safe shooting that one. 15.5. So, I mean, $1,000 gun, what could go wrong, right? Let's power up the Garmin. Really, I'm just kind of interested in the velocity. Close the chamber. 1, 2. All right, and we're up at 1640.1. Looks pretty acceptable. All right, see if we can't go in there and fine tune it. We had a case a case that was trimmed properly. CCI small rifle primers number 400. 15.5 grains of Hodgdon long shot, a 250 grain lead cast bullet that we seated and got a pretty decent crimp out of at 1.738. There were no concerning pressure signs. We had good velocity at 1,640.1 feet per second. I'm feeling pretty good about that. 250 grain projectile traveling 1640. Let's see if we can't get them to group. And although 15.5 is Hodgdon Data Center's maximum recommended load, we're not really running into a whole lot of problems. I might have room to play with the powder a little bit for accuracy purposes. I'm going to go ahead, fire this one that we crimped all jacked up the first time. Mainly, I just want to have these. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cases. So we'll just kind of keep going with that. I'll get a good consistent load up going with 15.5 grains of long shot. So far, surprisingly, they've been 100% reliable, which is more than I can say for the Hodgdon H110 powder. The reason why I started with Hodgson H110 is because the velocities in the data centers were looking pretty sweet. But 1610 with the 215 grain projectile, I mean, we're not pushing these out past 100 yards anyway with iron sights. I think we'll have to do some math, but I would imagine our energy delivery upon impact is probably going to be pretty decent. So I'll go fire this one off, and then we'll process these 6, 7 cases, and I still have 3 left over, so that'll make 10, right? Yeah, 10. All right, here we go. All right, we're going to make a lazy attempt to capture this bullet. So we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, not a big deal. Got the chronograph set up here. Bottle, here we go. All right. And we didn't get a velocity read. That's okay. Yeah, no such luck. Bullet just ripped through the thumb of my gloves. Oh well. All right, we'll run these 10 cases through resize and decap. 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, here's our single stage. We'll go ahead and run these through the flare, case flare. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's get these nice and clean. All right, give them about a half hour and then come back and we'll tumble them. I decided to go up 0.2 grains. So we're going to try a 15.7, 1466.8, and we've got a scorch mark. When we get the scorch mark, I did notice that the bullet wasn't seated all that square. A lot of this problem I think that we're having is coming from variables in the run out. You know, that is due to the round nose seating stem. So 1466.8 down from 16 something, right? 1630. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, just a shot in the dark. I'm going to try something slightly unorthodox. I've taken the seating stem out of this die. I flipped it over. There's a flat side on the top. I've only got maybe one thread in on the cap that sets the seating depth. The round I just fired, it's got a spent primer, it's empty. I think I'm going to have to sacrifice this one and see, maybe I'll use one of these rounds that I had as a squib load and see if I can't get a seating depth. Okay, so let's just go ahead and run it in. And would you look at that? It's relatively level. Let's try to turn it down and see if we can't get an acceptable seating depth. What we were looking for was somewhere around 1.745, right? Okay, so it's working. Now, 1.745 is based on the Hornady 11th edition load manual on a 240 grain XTP. So to be taken with a grain of salt. I'm watching very carefully for pressure signs as I do this. I just kind of wanted a general, I guess, base to ogive type of measurement. I don't even know if I'm even getting that, but we're at 1.770. Keep going. Dummy round. See if I can stand it up. There we go. Okay. Now with long shot, let's do a quick chart. We'll drop a quick charge just to see where the 15.5 falls. 5. Okay, so there's 15.5. Right about here. All right, let's see. compare the two. Here's the dummy round. I mean, there's a good 1/4 inch of room between the bottom of the bullet at that depth and the top of the powder. Should we give it a chance? I tend to take chances. Let me think about it. All right, I didn't think about it too long. And here's why. I am blessed with the ability to load one single round, walk outside in my backyard, and test it. I'm going to seat one. I'm going to start at 14.5, go fire it, see if there's anything I don't like about it. Maybe I'm being too safe, maybe I'm not being safe enough. I'm at 14.6 here. That's good enough for me. Let's drop this charge. We'll seat a bullet using the upside down seating stem. Okay, 14.5 grains. Here's a good bullet. We'll seat this. See how straight it gets in there. This is quite a bit deeper than the other ones we seated, but again, we still haven't run into any pressure concerns from what I've seen. So this 250 grain bullet is seated at 1.692. So if I don't make any more videos after this, it's because I blew myself up with a 454 Casull. Let's go try it out. All right, rounds in the chamber. We're gonna drop some leather over the chamber. Safe direction, no catastrophic failures, and a velocity. And as you can see, there's the one with the dot that we just did. And check this velocity out. We're at 1582. And our primer looks great. Our case looks great. I'm gonna go up to 15. That's a good start. I think I got full pressure out of that charge. Does that make any sense? All right, here's the case we just fired. Decap it. I did a quick flare on this case. 15 grains. I'm gonna drop it through the powder expander this time. This is 1.698. 1.6985. Let's go shoot it. Half a grain increase. And now we're at 15. All right. 1603.2. Okay, now we're getting back into where I want to be. Primer still looks really good. 1603.2. Okay, cool. We might try that. We might have a good starting place. I wanted to confirm that, I was getting a full pressure out of the burn before I determined whether or not it was a safe charge to fire. I was okay with a max charge before, with what looked like plenty of room at max charge. I don't know if I put it on camera or not, but I jumped up to 15.7 and still didn't see any pressure signs that really concerned me. We'll use the same case again. Drop that primer. Let's drop a charge of 15.5. Let's seat a bullet. Just check for pressure and hope for good velocity. This one's seated very nicely. 1.695. All right, let's go shoot it. See what happens. Ooh, that thing packs a wallop. 1621.7. It looks like we've still got room for, we got, and how many times have I fired this case now? About 8? It's the same case. I've fired this round over and over and over again, all today. We'll load these up with 15.7 grains of long shot and seek them to whatever we were at and see if we can't get a group. Gonna need to address the sighting issue because shooting low and left by 4 feet was pretty significant. We'll be dropping 15.7 grains. Look at that, it straightened it out. I am feeling good about this. Cool looking cartridges though, aren't they? I'll give you a last look at them. Why do they look so much better when they're standing with all their buddies? 9 rounds of Green Goblin. Let's see if we can get some accuracy out of them, huh? $16.82. The case looks great. I'm gonna run down there and see if I've got a hole. We're rethinking our approach because at 65 yards, I was only able to make a guess on an impact point. Wasn't on paper. We moved up to 28 yards. I'm gonna go down there and take a look and see if we finally have a hole on paper. Thank the Lord, we actually have a hole on paper, finally. It is about a foot low. Our aiming point is that cross dead center of the paper. But remember, we were hitting down on the bottom left in the dirt. It came up about 2.5, 3 feet to impact now low by 1 foot. We'll go ahead and make another adjustment. Right now, we're just working on elevation. Go ahead and take that rear sight and move it up. Looks like we're getting somewhere. And 1670? You kidding me? There's no complaint there. I might have jerked it a little bit, and it really only came up about 2 inches. There's 1 click right here. Let's top it out. Yeah. 1683.4. All right, now that looks great. That one was up to 1656.2. 1665 on the money. 1642.7. And that one did it. It happened to be one of the fastest speeds of the day. Man, it looks like I could still go up in powder. That was 15.7 grains of Hodgdon long shot, and that last shot got me 1675.9. We've got an average of 1657.3, a standard deviation of 23.4, an extreme spread of 64.8. Not bad for a straight-walled lever action lead cast cartridge. I don't know, that doesn't bother me a whole lot. All right, well, we've gotten somewhere. We've got a fresh board up here. This is about a hand width size target, approximately the size of a deer heart. And we're gonna try to back it up to 50 and see if we can't get these iron sights tuned in. All right, here we are just hanging out in the grass. We backed up to 50 yards. We're gonna go ahead and take a shot with this, just check out the pressure. If everything looks good, then we'll take a shot at 50 yards. But case looks really good. We're at 50 yards. All right, I'm gonna go down there. Ooh, beautiful. 1704.5. So much better. Really nice clean hole. I had the top of the front sight blade here. We squared up inside this square and hit down here. And last night I drifted the front sight post a little bit to the left. I'll try to take some off of that and maybe bring up the rear sight a little bit and see if I can't figure out how to get this center punch. All right, here's the clearest shot I can get for you of my front sight post. You can see that there was a witness marked with a paint pen before making the adjustment, and we just scooched it over a little bit to the left. I mean, it was minuscule. I tapped it back over to the right a little bit. You can see the last shot there was 1704.5. We've made a slight adjustment to the front sight. Shot number 2, 1692.6. It's quite amazing how minute the adjustments on iron sights, even as close as 50 yards, will make. The first shot was the bottom right corner outside of the box. The second shot that we just took was the bottom left corner. So I've done my best to attempt to make a mark that would illustrate just how far we're moving. Here's our jerry rigging for the rear sight. I had to move up 1 notch or raise the rear sight up 1 notch. Last night I put a zip tie underneath it to give it some elevation because we were shooting so low. And now I've added a zip tie. I know this is redneck. I've added a zip tie to hold that in place and hold it down, levering the rear sight up. Shot number 4. Last one at 1692.6. Shot number 3, 1694.8. Let's go down range and see if we've got the sights dialed in at all. Okay, yeah. Elevation didn't change, but shot number 1, shot number 2, shot number 3. So I'm hoping that it's still climbing at this point. So 100 yards should take us back here. We might back up and see how that works out for us. We back up to 75 yards on the money. Take a 3-shot group. Same point of aim. Shot number 4, 1671.6. I may have pulled that shot a little bit. Let's go down range and take a look. Well, look at that. That's pretty acceptable accuracy for 75 yards with iron sights, at least to me. I'm not the best iron sight shooter. And remember, I did say that I pulled one. I'm going to try to also do a quick water jug test. I'd like to see what this round does at about 50 yards. We have 8 bottles here filled with water. I'm going to do my best to try to center punch that front one that's on its side and maybe get some slow motion from a distance. Hey, that round came in at 1688.6. We've got 4 jugs down. Well, lo and behold, I thought we were not able to capture it because it went right through all of the jugs, both shots. But about 3 feet past the jug, I found this. And it was literally facing the same direction, just sitting right on top of the grass, just like that. Really, really interesting. Almost 0 deformation. Just a hell of a penetrator.